have you ever hoped and dreamed that those amazing lessons that are available to you on your Cleartouch board using Snowflake are available to your students on their one-to-one Chromebooks? If so, have I got the video for you. So first you're going to access snow.live, which you already know has that access to all of those great, amazing lessons that Snowflake has to offer. So of course you'll need to sign in. And depending on when your account was set up with New Tech Snowflake, you're either going to sign in with your Google account, or if yours is like mine, you would use your .org account to sign in. And then it does default to My Lesson Activities. So My Lesson Activities are lessons that you've either played, created, or edited. But to get these activities to my students, I'm going to go ahead and go to my class section and set up a class. So once you click on class, you can click on Manage Students. And then you can see that I have a class set up right here called 1A 2020-2021 that has 2 students enrolled in that class. So to create a new class, you would click on the Create New Class button. And you could give that class a name. I'm just going to name mine Delete Me Practice. And then here's where you would enter your students' usernames and their email addresses so that they can get added to your class roster. So what I would recommend that you do is see the attached email that has the directions on how to upload that from Skyward, so that you can click this I have a list of emails option, and then you could simply copy and paste from that Skyward generated email list right here into this list. Once you have your student emails typed out here or copy and pasted, then you would click Add Students. So I'm going to just make sure that I use my 1A 2020-2021 class, since that already has 2 students enrolled, but I did want to show you how you can create a new class. So let's talk about sending some of these activities to our students. So you can go to My Lesson Activities, and you can send one of those activities that you've previously played, that you've previously created or edited, or you can go to your community library. And in the community library, you have your search lesson activities box if you wanted to search by keyword. And then of course you have your filters down here at the bottom as well. If you prefer just to kind of browse the library, you've got a high school section, a middle school section, and then an elementary section. So let's say that I looked into this addition with dominoes lesson, and I was thinking that sounded like a great thing that I wanted to send to my students for practice with their addition. So what you can do is you can click the 3 dots, and then you would select Send to Students. So then you would select your class. So I'm going to select that 1A 2020-2021 class. And then depending on what kind of an activity it is, you might have the option to make that a gradable assessment. So if you check the box that is Gradable Assessment, then what that allows you to do is it will give students immediate feedback when they're finished with the activity. It will also give them a grade. On the teacher side, you'll be able to view their grade and then view their questions and the answers that they selected and whether or not those answers were correct or incorrect. So that's a great feature also. If you don't want to make it a gradable assessment, then you can just make it a practice activity, which there's definitely a time and place for that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and leave mine marked as gradable assessment. And then you can see that you can scroll down and you can differentiate which students receive this activity. So it does default to where all of your students in your class are selected, but to unselect a student, you would just uncheck their name and it would not go to that student anymore. So you have the option to send it, so you can schedule that send date if that's something that you're interested in, and you can require a due date if you'd like to. But then on this box that talks about notifying students via email, I would recommend just unchecking that box because students would not receive that email, and I will show you how they can get in much easier than accessing the email. So once you have your settings set up, you're going to click on Send the Assignment. And notice it says lesson activity has been sent out to your student. And so click anywhere to continue. So I'm going to pop over to a student account. And on the student account, I'm going to go to snow.live. This is what your students would do as well. You could link snow.live into your Canvas course if that's something that's easier for you, or you could pin it to the shelf or bookmark it in other ways that you deem fit. So students would need to log in, and they are going to sign in with Google. So he's going to click his sign in with Google button. And then notice it takes him right to the section called My Lesson Activities. And so it tells him in this section that he has 3 unfinished gradable assignments, and those are right here, and 2 practice assignments that he could work on. For a little bit more detail for maybe some of your older kids, they could click on My Assignments. And then it's categorized by heading. So these are assignments that he needs to submit. These are those gradable assignments. The lists, and he doesn't have any lists right now. And then these are his practice assignments. And so he can also see assessments that he's received grades on. So let's say that first the student wanted to work on this matching numbers to words activity. So they would simply click on play. And then this is the drop activity. So it's a drag and drop. And so he would simply take his drag and drop, and he would start matching it up. And then he's going to submit that to his teacher. So he can see that he received 3 out of 11 correct answers with a score of 27%. So this is the immediate feedback that we were talking about. So then he can see what his answers were, which ones were right and which ones were wrong. So on the teacher side, I'm going to go back to my class, and I'm going to review progress so that I can check my students' progress. So here's that matching numbers to number words activity that one of my students just completed. And if I click on that assignment, I can see the average class score, the average time spent on this assignment, and then I can also see the student results by ID number. So to get the more specific information about how a specific student answered questions on one of those gradable assessments, you would click on their ID number, and then you could maximize that with the questions and answers so that you can see the same results that the student saw. Something that I love that's a part of Snow.live is the ability to give your students feedback. So you can provide typed feedback here in this box. You can record your voice and give voice feedback, and you can also give video feedback. So if you were going to give feedback to your students, then that's something that they would access over here in the My Assignment section. And then it would be here. So here's an assignment that he got feedback on, assessments you received grades on, and then he could view his feedback from here. And so then he could play that voice feedback right there from the activity. If you need help or any kind of support or have questions, please reach out to your campus digital learning specialist, and we will be happy to assist you.